So I get what y'all saying. But did it fail? Was it hijacked? Yes.
Hello everyone, this is Angela and welcome to my channel, AngieTheENTJ. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click on the notifications bell so that you'll know whenever I upload any new content. And I apologize in advance for my voice quality. I'm still going through allergies, so I hope you can just bear with me. So, okay, let's get into it. Do you see this brown Pantene bottle here? Unless you use it, you probably don't think much of it when you see it on the shelf at a local Walmart or a local Target. What the heck does a brown, or nowadays gold, Pantene bottle have to do with my video regarding how the natural hair movement, as well as the other movements that rose up as offshoots from it, and how it was hijacked? Well, it has a lot to do with it, and the damage that a movement hijacker can cause. So, around the end of the 1990s and going into the early 2000s is when I found myself in an AOL chat room centered around black hair. I've been a hobby hair braider for years. I was interested in seeing if there were any new hair design trends that I could play with, new styles that I can try. However, there were black women, mothers, college students, executives, shift workers, housewives, go down the list, who all found ourselves in the same space, asking questions and sharing ideas on hair care. It felt sort of like the beauty salon, except it was online, it was virtual. In this space, everyone was free to express themselves, and there were no barriers to that communication. And more importantly, we had the ability to keep our real life identity private, which allowed us to speak more frankly. There previously existed no safe space of this level, prior to the time that I'm aware of, which was created by black women and for the benefit of black women exclusively. We were there just exchanging our thoughts on everything, including relationships, corporate culture clashes, and then something happened, a spark. That spark occurred when someone brought up the history of the Tignon laws, probably a student, and this person was in the chat, and this person was explaining to us what the Tignon laws were. And it was during that time it began to dawn upon all of us that we were living in the second rendition of the Tignon laws. The Tignon laws were draconian colonial regulations that were implemented towards the end of the 18th century, the late 1700s, within Louisiana during Spanish rule, which required any woman who had African ancestry to tie up her hair with a scarf in public, regardless of if she was a free woman or if she was enslaved. This was done because free black women were inheriting property and living lifestyles that reflected their wealth, which included having elaborate hairstyles, and sometimes they were richer than their non-black counterparts. The Tignon laws were meant to put black women, free or enslaved, but especially the free ones, back in their quote-unquote place at the bottom of the economic totem pole at that time, and also as a way to keep black people who were free. This included biracial, mixed, white passing, and in some rare cases, dark-skinned black people too. It was to keep free black people from mixing with those who were enslaved and from rebelling against the planter class. They were attempting to prevent another Haitian uprising from happening in Louisiana at the time. So even if they were white passing black women, all would know from the scarf on her head that she has African ancestry. It began to dawn upon all of us that we were living in the second rendition of the Tignon laws. That all this while, we have been fooled into being free, but here we are, and clearly, coming into the dawn of the 21st century at the time, we were being shackled by Black culture at that time. We were being shackled by mainstream culture to use our hard-earned money to pay for ourselves to be exposed to cancer-causing chemicals, all for the sake of not being fired from our jobs, abandoned from our relationships, or shunned out of our communities. Of course, we decided that we had to defy this at all costs. That's when we became rebellious and began to wear our hair openly, naturally, and we took heat for it. Yes. I am one of the many people who have put sweat equity into this movement during those times. I was there in the trenches, and I know the people who were there with me before it got hijacked. Black women were at risk of losing jobs, losing relationships, being shunned from their churches if we dared to show a kink or a coil from our hair. And there we all were in an AOL chat room, innocently trying to find affordable ways to avoid harsh chemicals and heat in between costly relaxer, weave, and braid sessions. And then we realized that the collective of Black girls and women were being forced to use heat or chemicals to straighten our hair, and if we chose not to, there would be consequences. The compromise was to wear braids and to wear weaves, but we caught heat for it when we wore any type of extension in our hair, but it was still tolerable. Nonetheless, the chemicals, the heat, the braids, the weave, and the fact that our choices were either or, because if we did anything differently, they would be punished, put us into hair apartheid, which was a second rendition of the Tignon laws. Worse, we had to pay our hard-earned money to avoid being bullied, fired, or shunned, and we were still at the bottom of the economic totem pole. This was another rendition of the Tignon laws, except instead of the Tignon being a headscarf to hide our hair texture, or the ability of our hair to be styled in an infinite manner of ways, naturally, it took the form of a relaxer or a weave. Worse yet, we were paying others in order to maintain our own hair apartheid. Additionally, the overwhelming majority of the people that we were paying were not Black. They were not women. A lot of Black people did not work for these companies. So there was no circular economy for us. There was no economic benefit of having a job at these locations. And if that was not bad enough, there were people who were in these chat rooms that were studying chemistry and who were also medical professionals. I think one was a surgeon who revealed that some of the main ingredients in relaxers were known to cause tumors to grow, particularly fibroids, uterine, and ovarian cancers. We knew that over 25 years ago. So this became bigger than hairstyles. This became about our right to simply live. And defying the culture at the time was in fact about saving our own lives and not exposing our little girls to this stuff.
I want style, body to shine, a look that's totally on mine. Hair so soft, silky and free. I want something just for me. Just for me. No light conditioning relaxer cream. Just for me. For combing and styling that's worry-free. AUXEFRME.
Try the Just For Me No Light Conditioning Cream Relaxer System today, created in part by mothers,
Especially for their daughters.
by Proline.
No other group on the planet has ever been forced through a set of cultural norms to pay for slowly poisoning themselves, but here we were as Black women. So we began to stomp the pavement. The goal was to get the education out there and allow Black women to make informed decisions for themselves, and especially to protect their daughters from exposures to these toxins. It was never to start a war between hair textures or to virtually tar and feather any woman who, albeit they may have known the risk, but still chose personally to use relaxers on their hair or the hot combs or the weaves or the braids. As a matter of fact, in the beginning, there was a sizable number of women who made the personal decision to continue relaxing their hair, but also supported the natural hair movement. It was highly nuanced. It was no different than the fact that, for instance, there are people who smoke cigarettes, but they also support regulations that protect people from being exposed to secondhand smoke or protect children from having access to these products until they come of an age where they can fully understand the decisions that they're making in using them. It's highly nuanced, and that's okay. Speaking of cigarettes, parents, especially mothers, fought against candy cigarettes and the advertisement of cigarettes using cartoonish-like mascots that could potentially hook children into developing life-ending habits that would yield profits for corporations. Likewise, Black women began the grassroots efforts to educate mothers about the carcinogenic harm of relaxers, to stop them from being placed onto our little girls' hair and threatening their lives before they could even consent to using it. It is evident that our success is still going strong until this day. That and the fact that you can still find the brown Pantene or the gold Pantene bottles at a local Walmart or Target near you, along with other products. Parents, especially mothers, fought against candy cigarettes and advertisement of cigarettes using cartoonish-like mascots that could potentially hook children into developing life-ending habits, which in turn would yield profits for corporations to the detriment of these children who would grow up into becoming sickly adults. Likewise, Black women began the grassroots efforts to educate mothers about the carcinogenic harm that relaxers posed in order to stop them from being placed onto our little girls' hair and threatening their lives before they could even consent to using it. The evidence of our success is still apparent and going strong into this day by the fact that most little Black girls nowadays have their hair in its natural state. That and the fact that you can still find the brown Pantene bottles along with the gold ones at a Walmart or a Target near you. The reason why you can even see the brown Pantene bottles and the spark that led to the gold ones is the fact that it was us women in this particular AOL chat room that sent letters to Pantene explaining how their products were being used by Black women and showing our economic power in the purchasing of hair care products. We basically wrote to them and said, and how I know this is because I'm one of the ones who sent a letter and my signature is on it. We basically said, make us a formulation that is exclusively for us, or we will find another company to do it, or we will do it for ourselves. Within weeks, there was a sophisticated Black woman appearing within TV commercials and advertising the upcoming of Pantene products that were made exclusively for Black women's hair. Within a matter of a few months, there were affordable and high-quality shampoo and conditioners on the shelves of places like Walmart nationwide so that Black women within urban areas and within rural areas alike could have access to it. In the meantime, we created the demand for what you see today, the Shea Moistures, the Nubian Heritages, and even back in those times, women in New York City went into business buying Carol's Daughters and shipping it directly to women in other parts of the country. You see, with all of the phenotype wars that are going on social media platforms and within real life, many of you do not realize that you are playing the very hand that the movement hijackers want you to play. The more divided you are, the more easy it is for movement hijackers to make us all look like a bunch of fools, and for them to maintain power and control over creating barriers to your progress and also profiting off of it. I bet that most of you did not know that the natural hair movement began as a way to confront living under another rendition of Tignon laws, or that it was a movement that was centered around saving the lives of Black women within our collective. Surely if Black women became healthier, more educated, and wealthier, it would mean goodbye to things like, pimping, drug trafficking, and gang violence. Can't do that when you're wealthy and you can live in a gated community. It also meant goodbye to products that were produced by interest, who profited off of schemes that kept our collective seeking the validation that they would never give. I know that I'm making some folks nervous, and I don't care. I really don't. You see, that's why movement hijackers had you believe that it was just an uprising of dark-skinned Black women who just have simply had enough and began to rebel against everything white, which included mixed and biracial Black people. When, as a matter of fact, the entire movement was initiated by a white passing Black woman who could have easily chose to wear a relaxer and blend in as being unambiguously Caucasian and live quietly behind the shadow of her privileges. There goes that nuance again. See, nuance is a good thing. So that's all I have to say for now in this part 1. Make sure that you like this video so that when I put out part 2 of this multi-part series, you will know when it's uploaded and you'll be able to tune into it. In part 2, I will begin to dive into how Black women began to swirl and divest over 25 years before the movement hijackers stepped into the space, sabotaged the progress, and became the face of lame talking points without any notable progress, such as, getting a company to formulate shampoo for us, that centered Black women the way that we did initially. We did so much more, but most people have seen the brown Pantene bottles. That's why I pointed it out. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share the video. Take care until next time.